The day had been long, and the sun was blazing high over the hills near the Sea of Galilee. A crowd had gathered, thousands of men, women, and children, following Jesus wherever he went. They came because of the stories they had heard, the blind seeing, the lame walking, the broken being healed. And they longed to hear his words, to feel hope rise in their hearts. Jesus sat on a gentle slope, looking at the sea of faces stretched out before him. There was something in their eyes, tiredness, longing, hunger, but also trust, a deep desire for comfort. He could see the mothers holding restless children, the elders leaning on their staffs, the young men eager to learn, the poor who had nothing but faith. His heart went out to them. As the afternoon wore on, the disciples approached him, worry etched on their faces. "Master," said Philip, "this is a large crowd. You should send them away. Let them go to the villages and buy something to eat." Jesus looked at him calmly, his gaze gentle but unwavering. "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." The disciples exchanged nervous glances. Andrew hesitated. "But we have only 5 loaves and 2 small fish. That's barely anything. How could it feed so many?" Jesus smiled softly. "Bring them here to me." A small boy from the crowd watched quietly as the disciples brought forward his meager lunch. 5 small loaves of barley bread and 2 tiny fish. His eyes were wide, uncertain, as he handed it to Jesus. He did not know that God was about to use his humble gift to feed thousands. Jesus took the loaves and fish in his hands, and lifting his eyes to heaven, he prayed. He blessed them, and then he began to break the loaves and fish. He gave them to the disciples, who began to distribute them to the waiting crowd. And the miracle began. Bread and fish multiplied before their eyes. Each person received enough, and then some. Children laughed with delight, savoring the warm bread. Mothers smiled through tears, amazed that their children were finally full. Fathers shook their heads, filled with awe and gratitude. Even the disciples were astonished. They had never seen anything like this. The little boy, who had offered what seemed so insignificant, watched with amazement as his lunch fed thousands. His heart swelled. My lunch, it's enough for everyone," he whispered. Jesus looked at him and said, "Even the smallest gift, when given with love, can become more than enough in God's hands." When everyone had eaten, Jesus told the disciples, "Gather the leftovers, so that nothing is wasted." 12 baskets were filled with the pieces that remained, enough to remind them that God's provision is abundant, far beyond what anyone can imagine. The crowd sat in awe, their bellies full but their hearts even fuller. They had come seeking bread, yet they had received hope, love, and the tangible presence of God's care. Jesus looked at them with eyes that seemed to see into each heart. "Follow me," he said, "and I will teach you to see the world not only with your eyes, but with your hearts. Look with love, serve with faith, and trust that God will provide." The people began to murmur among themselves, words spilling like gentle waves. "We have eaten our fill," and yet, they were humbled, grateful, and moved beyond measure. They had witnessed a miracle, yes, but more than that, they had felt God's compassion in a way they would never forget. The sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky in pinks and golds. Families started to gather their children, strangers helping each other carry baskets and belongings. And still, the story of the little boy's lunch, multiplied in the hands of Jesus, spread like wildfire through the crowd. That day, they learned something unforgettable. God's love can turn the smallest offering into a miracle. A simple act of sharing, a humble gift, and a heart open to trust can fill more than empty stomachs. It can fill hearts, families, and entire communities with hope. And as they left, Jesus' words lingered in their minds, like a gentle whisper in the evening breeze. Give what you have, trust what God can do, and watch the impossible become reality.